Well, it's the first week of January, the first movie to be released of the new year is a horror movie, and it's a piece of shit. Can't say I'm surprised in the slightest. Insidious: The Last Key is the fourth film in the Insidious series and is the second one in terms of chronological order. I've actually never seen any of the movies except the second one and this one, so I actually had to do research, and apparently the series goes 3, 4, 1, 2. But anyway, this movie focuses on Elise Rayner, who is the main character of the series. I remember seeing her in the second movie. She and her two associates get a call about some paranormal activity going on in a house, but the house is the house that Elise grew up in, where dark things happened during her childhood, and she ultimately decides to take the case in order to maybe get rid of her own personal demons. Like I've said before, the only Insidious movie I've seen prior to this was the second one. I reviewed that movie when it came out. I don't remember exactly what I said about it, but if I remember correctly, the movie wasn't that scary for me. It was often pretty dull. At the same time, I was kind of interested to see where it was going to go. So I don't think it's downright terrible, but it's nothing super interesting. This, however, is downright terrible. When I said at the beginning of my video that this is a January horror movie and I can't be surprised that it's shit, I'm actually half joking, because for as long as I can remember, horror movies that are usually released in the first week of January end up being utter dog shit. And the most recent case of that was last year's The Bye-Bye Man. Moving on. So Insidious: The Last Key, while nowhere near as bad as The Bye-Bye Man, it is a movie that is just probably one of the most boring horror movies I've ever seen, because The Bye-Bye Man at least was unintentionally funny. This has only a few unintentionally funny moments. The rest of it is either boring or downright cringeworthy. And like Annabelle Creation, this is another movie produced by James Wan in terms of horror movies, and I'm just like, wow, I guess horror movies really aren't that much unless James Wan's actually directing it. So yeah, that's a bummer, because all the scares in this movie are jump scares. They're the cheapest scares you can get. They're effective on me, but I hate that they're effective on me. Like, I want to be legitimately creeped out, because with a jump scare, I'm just scared of the moment, and then I move on. I want something that legitimately creeps me out, that I'm going to be thinking about as time goes on, and every time the movie tries to be legitimately creepy, it comes across as silly. The demons have actual keys on their fingers that they use to go into the girl's throat and basically turn off her voice box, and that's a cool visual, but it's in the trailer and nothing else is really done well throughout the rest of the movie. And besides, the keys on fingers just looks downright stupid. In fact, all the creepy moments, or the attempts to be creepy, come across as unintentionally funny, but all the moments that are supposed to be intentionally funny when you get to the comic relief is downright creepy and cringeworthy. One of them is named Specs, and he's supposed to be that creepy, awkward nerd that, oh, just because he has glasses, he's got to be a creepy guy, right? Screw you. But then again, the other guy is the equivalent of that guy that thinks he can win over the women, and he's a self-proclaimed womanizer, but he goes down a road where it's just downright creepy, and you imagine this guy getting accused of sexual assault at some point in his future. And then if you put aside the creepiness, their jokes are cringeworthy. There's this horrible running joke that they try where it's like, she's the sidekick, we're the sidekicks. And they do it twice in a row, and they even do the get it portion, and it's just like, no, it's not funny. I get it. It just ain't funny. I will say, in the movie's defense, it never made me angry, which is why I'm not going to give it the burn in hell rating. But this shit is downright boring as fuck. Nothing feels organic when it comes to the plot or setting up things, but again, I've never seen the Insidious movies outside the second one, so I'm only judging this as its own movie. And as its own movie, they pull plot points out of their asses. Everything is just made to be incredibly convenient. And I know a lot of the actions in movies are based around coincidences, otherwise the movies wouldn't exist, but this is one of these situations where it's such a convenience that, oh, this person happens to know this person, or yada yada yada, and you're just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. This is incredibly poor writing. Is there anything good that I can say about the movie? Well, I'll say this. Out of a sea of terrible actors, Lin Shaye is actually pretty good. At first. After a certain point, she's playing her role a bit too serious. In a movie where you have a demon that does the Grudge crab walk, or maybe it's The Ring. Those two movies kind of blur together for me, and has keys for fingers. There's only so much of that you could take seriously, which is none of it. And then there is one cool kill in the movie. I'm grateful that this is not like a downright slasher movie. It's trying to be more of a supernatural horror film, but this movie was so dull that when that kill happened, I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. And I was exactly that monotone because I was just so bored throughout this whole movie. And that's the best way to sum up this movie. It's boring as shit. It's never exciting. None of the characters seem to have energy in them. And the climax is just downright ridiculous. I won't say what it is, but for me, it just feels like it has one of those, oh, I could have done this the whole time moments. It just reminds me of Martha. I'll say that. So again, it never made me angry, but I will say don't waste your money on this one. And now let this be a lesson. Just because a movie has either James Wan or Jason Blum producing it doesn't mean it's automatically going to be good. Let's just remember that from now on. It doesn't have a high chance of being another Conjuring. It doesn't have a high chance of being another Get Out or even a Happy Death Day. So yeah, just a little note for the future. And that's my review for Insidious, The Last Key. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, if and when you've seen it. And as always, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.